Good morning. Always great to be the first panel. We have a fantastic list of panelists today. We have somebody representing every aspect of the business. We have a production house, a content creator, a commissioning editor, a distributor. So a lot of major changes have hit our industry in the last year. We have the entrance of Saudi Arabia as a major player now in entertainment. And we have the exit of Turkish drama from a lot of our regional screens. So this is a question that I'm going to start actually with Sadek and then May on, and then we can get to the rest of it. How do you think that has affected the industry?
Regarding the exit of the Turkish drama, I think the 10 years passed on the drama Turkish, actually I think that the penetration and the high quality of the Arabic series have replaced some of the slots on the television and the digital platforms, and this is because now we're producing higher level of drama. So we're competing on the Egyptian side or the Lebanese side.
And May, for somebody who...
Well, yeah, I think it's been good for us. Basically, we were the last people to exit the Turkish drama scene. But however, it has made us more robust in actually looking for other territories. We've become more agile in our decision making in terms of looking at Latin America, dubbed series. So it's kind of helped us understand not to rely on one territory, that anything can happen. I mean, the Turkish drama for us has been coming in and out, which has affected our grid. And so we've developed a strategy to actually always be on the lookout for different territories, and that's what we've been doing so far.
I mean, the complaint from a lot of Arab production companies was that a lot of money from broadcasters was going into Turkish dramas. And this is an opportunity, in a way, for Arab drama to prosper. So, Khulud, this is a lot of what Arab format lab is doing.
Yes.
So if you could tell us.
I think I want to be on the other side. The Turkish drama have influenced the way we look at the format of drama that we produced. So, Turkish drama started a trend as far as stripped content, long-form drama, which actually is a necessity as a backbone in daytime for channels. But also the fact that other than the US, the Turkish runs weekly episodes. So to get us out of the 30 episode format. So I think the Turkish drama had an influence when we produce on a success, benchmark for us as far as the format of how we produce drama. The second thing is also learning from the Turkish experience. Now, I'm very happy that, we have, there's more demand, let's say, or we hope that there's more demand for drama. But the other thing, if we look at the Turkish and how Turkish drama became international, is the fact that they had deals with Hollywood, but they came and renegotiated their deals and started the remakes. They took rights for remakes of their drama. So while we aired Revenge in English, Hollywood show, they were airing the remake of Revenge. So they actually, the whole experience of trying to go international and using the Hollywood expertise in creating a different level of Turkish drama. So when you dig into the Turkish drama, it's a success story because they went international and the level, and I think it's a lesson for us. There's lots of things to learn from it. The decision is positive. Hopefully it will create more demand.
Okay, they've all hit on Turkish drama and how that's affected us, but nobody's from the panel has spoken about the Saudi experience and how Saudi now wanting to invest in entertainment is going to change the playing field.
You talking to me?
Yes, I'm talking to you.
We've been hearing talks that Saudi wants to build an industry and so on, but we've always said that money can't really buy the know-how. So I believe, it has to start from zero. I think if they have to start investing in anything, it would have to be in developing writers and mentoring writers which unfortunately, I believe, and Khulud and Sadek and May could correct me, we've always had a lack of writers over here, and therefore this is one of the reasons why I believe, you know, the Turkish series were quite successful. You know, Turkish series are, or the culture is, you know, quite similar to, or you could relate to that sort of culture. And they literally had no competition, you know, from the Middle East, mainly because I believe, you know, most of the product that was out on TV or produced locally would be too local to be, you know, it could either be too Lebanese or maybe too Egyptian, or so when you find something like a Turkish series that was sort of universal, it sort of applied to all of the Middle East. When it comes to Saudi, you know, I believe that presently, for as much money as you're going to pump into it, and you know, we've had examples like, you know, failures, like the Image Nation sort of titles that they produced over here, thinking that, you know, I could adapt an American script and make it into Arabic, and we've got the money and the story. There's not one single film that actually worked. This is because they never really respected the culture in the Middle East and never really found ways of uniting the Middle East. You know, so far, you know, the only cinema that would apply to all of the region, which is considered the Hollywood of the Middle East, is Egypt. The rest, it's quite scattered. You know, a film that's produced in the UAE does not play well in Kuwait or in Egypt or in Lebanon and so on, and vice versa. You know, a Lebanese film would not play very well, you know, over here. You know, you have the example of a Nadine Labaki film that in Lebanon is massive, but when it comes to a release over here, you're talking not even 5% of what it would generate in Lebanon. And like this, you have 100,000 other examples. So when it comes to Saudi, I think, you know, the best way to do it is having co-productions with, you know, with Egypt to introduce the Saudi talent, to introduce Saudi writers, to introduce even cinema over there, which, you know, has not been present at all. Does that answer your question?
More or less.
I'd just like to add on to Gianluca's comments. With regards to, if we go back a step to Turkish dramas, I mean, just last year, the Ministry of Culture specifically invested $40 million on Turkish series. So again, we come back to our region. We are not supported in a kind of a nucleus way. We need good distribution companies, we need to package, and we need to be able to create our stories to travel. If that doesn't happen, then we are going to stay in the region. If we go back one step and just look at what it is we actually need. Storytelling is good. If it's good, it can go anywhere. There is no reason why a good story cannot go. But it needs the support. And this is where we come back to Khulud and what you're doing as a venture in order to create that support.
Okay, so we basically, one of the big things that we talked about is the lack of writer talent. And I think both you and Khulud are working on trying to create some kind of training programs for writers. So if we could discuss, maybe we'll start with you and then we'll go on Khulud.
Actually, on the Saudi production, as Gianluca said, we're getting the Egyptian expertise to help us in the technical side, writing and directing the Saudi content that we are now into producing it. The problem is, I think we have to work behind the lines, because the Saudi content is a little bit complicated. So we have really, we are spending too much time to finish a play or an episode of a series twice or 3 times more of a Lebanese series of an Egyptian series, because we have to write it with the Egyptian writers, and then we have to make it on the Saudi flavor, and then to have reading and rewriting. So it's taking little time, but I think because it's the beginning, it will accelerate at a point, and we're getting good potential writers. They don't have too much experience, but now they are trained with our Egyptian team.
Before we jump on, because I know that you're doing some work with Masrah Saudi and
Yes.
Masrah Masr.
Yes.
And how does that translate into finding talent?
Masrah Saudi, that's the Masrah Masr actually is a format that we have made now 4 seasons, 80 plays. So the technical part, the Egyptian technical team went to Jeddah and began working with the Saudi writers first. Actually, on the Saudi cast, there is no problem. There is potential, talented people. It's more into the writing the scripts, plus maybe we had some complication on the technical side, lighting, maybe on the to prepare a theater, because they never had a weekly theater in Saudi Arabia. But I think we are improving. It's taking little time, but we're improving now. Hopefully, by beginning of January, it will be aired on, our first plays will be aired on NBC. And I think this will give us a good opportunity to have this young people, young talented people casting. They are all Saudi, and so we're taking them maybe to drama and to cinema sector as well.
I have actually a different opinion on the talent side. I think, first of all, to capture the investment, whether in Gulf or in UAE, let's remember that these investments are put to actually revive the industry. So let's think, if we want to capture this investment, we need to come with options or projects that will move and build an infrastructure. So it needs to be actually recycled within the same. This is where the whole idea was like, okay, we'll invest in this as long as we are working actually on local talents. Actually, I think what we need in the Middle East is more than taking, an Egyptian script and Saudize it, is actually work on the infrastructure, which we started now. Writer's room. Writer's room is a profession. It's a technique. And the thing is, I think and I always say it, we don't lack talents, we lack confidence. We lack confidence of the investors, we lack our confidence in the talents. I have seen writers who are brilliant, but these writers will never make it to the doors of NBC or Dubai TV because they don't know where to go. But if they had a hub, and investing in these people, in these writers, and actually the technique. We brought, a big writer from BBC to Jeddah, to Riyadh, to talk about the whole concept. So I think to create a strong script and a strong drama project, we really need first to open our horizon and really invest in coming up with something which is really Saudi. If you look at the highest watched short movie or short content in the whole world on YouTube comes from KSA. So, and yes, drama and TV, it's totally different mediums, but our own vision is to create a Saudi or UAE strong. They need to be original, and it should not be just like taking a script and adapting it, although we're in adaptation. Even when we do American adaptation, it needs to come from the actual society, from the actual stories, from the guys, from the youth themselves. So writer's room and investing in them is the way forward.
I have a small, the problem is they don't have the experience yet. There are talented people to write, but they don't have the experience how to write a drama series. They need to have more and more experience on writing and seeing how things. What we are pitching in Saudi Arabia now, we're pitching actually stories coming from Saudi Arabia, and a complicated one because we have 3 dialects in Saudi Arabia, so we have to little bit merge things together to have it on all the KSA audience. But I think the problem is not that they are there, but they need to experience.
All right, so one of the things that Khulud said is that a lot of the talent is young and untested, and when they come to broadcasters like NBC or DMI, that we might not greenlight a project like that because we're working with people who are untested, and maybe if we're trying to reach a millennial audience, maybe we don't have stars. So if somebody comes to you with a show like that, what would you as a broadcaster, how would you deal with it? And what is your appetite for taking risks on new talent?
Ask pilot. This is what's happening, actually.
I think our appetite on taking risks is not that high, simply because it's a tough market for broadcasters at the moment. So we're getting more and more frugal in terms of commissioning. However, that said, we haven't had someone come through our doors that is, they don't even approach. So, and that's an unfortunate thing, is that we do not get scripts from young writers, or we get well-established companies that bring us their slate so, and when we do get, they're against the big guys. They're against the big guys, the big production companies. So unfortunately, we have to make certain decisions in terms of our advertising, the content, how sure we are. But like you said, a writer's room, if we feel that they are actually supported and they will be bringing in something fresh, new, and perhaps bringing in more eyeballs for us that we've never had before, then we would look into it.
Let me be the devil advocate here. So, if the first thing a broadcaster will ask, who's the actor, who's the writer? If the actor is not big, and he's, and if they don't know who's the writer, they will not consider the scripts. Even we claim that we have, and I want to be, even if we claim that we have commissioning groups that are actually reading the scripts, I have read myself, which are really innovative, different. So we all know that we have a crisis in drama. 8% of what advertising revenue in the Middle East is generated by 20% of the drama produced. So there is a problem. So maybe the problem is by us doing the same thing all the time, picking the old same names, the old same companies. Not that I want like my company to be commissioned or anything, but I'm saying, really, let's have good reading, teams who read it and see and give opportunity for these writers. And this actually brings the concept of, yes, you don't want to take risks. Okay, let's do pilots. Let's co-invest in pilots.
I think
that's I just want to follow up on this. I think the pilot thing is something worth considering, and we'll get back to that. But let's say, for instance, if somebody like a Khulud or a Sadek come to you, so they're entities that are known, and they tell you that, will you believe, for instance, in the carrier of the message? Like if they come to you with these new scripts, or with these new writers, or these new talents, would you trust them to have handpicked a good, because they have a track record?
I think we would. We are now starting to understand that the market is changing. It's changing so fast that if we don't adapt and look at what's coming through our doors, we're going to be left behind. So we would, definitely. And I do always believe that a good script is a good script. It can't go far. We will take risks in new talent. We actually want to see new talent on our screens. But they have to be tested, and we have to know that the people behind them are actually very professional, that they will actually carry through the whole project.
Okay. I want to talk about the elephant in the room, because basically broadcasters are competing with OTT in a big way, and we now have not just local or regional players, we also have international players that are coming and going after the old talent that we used to work with before and the new up-and-coming talent, because they are more willing to take the kind of risks that broadcasters aren't. So how do you think that is all going to play in the...
I mean, yes. Khulud has been in a position where, she had to acquire stuff. Therefore, I believe she had a responsibility to secure what is proven and what is the best, that she could give to her channels at the time. Now she's on the other side. But I think... honestly, I think the way TV works over here is quite outdated, but that will change once, Netflix has started their first production. Eventually, Amazon, by next year will launch over here. You're going to have Apple that's going to do the same. So this is who the networks are going to start compete with, and. The thing is that, I believe that the new generation are going to start demanding not anymore your usual Ramadan shows, which are quite formulaic, but, they're going to start demanding, basically content that is up to the standard of a House of Cards or a Game of Thrones or that level of writing, which I think, or from what I've seen, from the current writers, you can't really get that. So you really are going to have to start from zero, and you're going to have to start grooming writers. But towards that sort of mentality, the local mentality right now is sort of like self-censorship, in the sense that, there are certain subjects that probably Saudi won't welcome, but Lebanon would, or Egypt would, and vice versa. There's a lot of differences, where the writers as well as producers are automatically limit themselves. Now that you have international players that literally do not care about censorship, you're opening a whole new market, which never really existed. And this is why I believe, so far you've always had the same faces, you've always had the same writers, it's the same thing. These guys are going to break those boundaries, and a new market is going to, it's bound to be born. This is how I feel. We're currently, we've been distributors forever now, but because the business is changing, we see that there is a demand for new product, whether it's TV or actual film. So, we started acquiring remake rights, and to tell you the truth, we started acquiring remake rights because there are no writers over here. So the best way to do it is, let's start with this, let's start detecting who are the potential writers, and then start grooming them, because, at the end of the day, this is what the industry needs. There is a hunger for that. Which brings me to the next, this is why a lot of the current local productions don't really travel much. Like, you don't have a show that has been groundbreaking from the region. This is definitely going to start changing, for sure. So, yeah, it's positive. Yeah.
I mean, there's no shame in buying a format. I mean, it's been done in the non-scripted. The Got Talent, The Idol, all these were training grounds for people who eventually were able to use that expertise to create their own formats and lift the production level of these variety shows to a whole new. So there's no shame in doing the same, more or less, in terms of drama. So that's not a bad thing. But okay, going back to the whole OTT and is this an opportunity, or is this something that broadcasters should fear? Also, what kind of topics will we be able to put? Will they have an appetite for content that's a lot edgier? Are the broadcasters waking up to that risk and taking more risks and going after edgier content? So if we can, Sadek and Khulud, if you can discuss these.
Can I tell it in Arabic and you translate it to express myself properly?
I have to translate it? Okay, somebody will translate.
لا، الحقيقة بموضوع التغيير، يعني تغيير السوق، أول شيء بما يخص الإنتاجات الجديدة، النوعية الجديدة من الإنتاجات اللي عم بيحكي عنها جانلوكا، هي إنتاجات نحن بدأنا فيها إنه إنتاجات قصيرة، مدد الحلقات بيسوى تكون 8 10 حلقات 12 حلقة عكل حلقة أقل من 15. بدأنا بالأول بلبنان، هيطلع شيء أول السنة. أكيد نتفليكس، أمازون، يعني كل المنصات العالمية فتحت لنا شهيتنا لنشتغل ديفرنت دراما مع الحفاظ على الدراما الكلاسيكية، رمضان 60 حلقة اتسترا. بس اللي بدي أقوله أنه نحن بمرحلة نقلة من عالم التلفزيون الفضائي الحر إلى وخاصة أنه في عندهم مشاكل بالإعلانات، لأنه الإعلانات صارت ما كتير عندها ثقة بالتلفزيونات العادية، فعم بتروح على السوشيال ميديا، عم بتروح على الديجيتال بلاتفورمز. بعتقد أنه في نقلة، هيدي النقلة بتاخدنا 4-5 سنين يمكن لننقل على يعني هون بده يصير الديجيتال بلاتفورمز عندها هي أكثر حظوظ بالمردود الإعلاني والكونسيومرز. بقول انه نحن مثل ما انتقلنا من البث الارضي الى الفضائي بالتسعينات، مثل ما نقلنا من الفي اتش اس على الدي في دي، في تكنولوجيا جديده عم ننقل عليها، لازم نركز عليها. وبصراحه بدعوا ديجيتال بلايرز بالمنطقه يستعجلوا ياخذوا قرارات، لانه الهجمة كتير قوية علينا، ونحن بالآخر we can produce مسلسل 2 3 بس بالآخر بدنا نبيع. فهون بقول إنه التركيز لازم يروح على التكنولوجيا الجديدة. بعتذر قلتهم بالعربي بس مش حقعرف أقولهم كلهم بالإنجليزي.
Okay, I'm going to have to translate this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Basically, Sadek was saying that they have already started doing dramas that are shorter episode counts. So instead of the 30 episodes that we used to do for Ramadan, they're going into shorter episodes counts. I think you're already producing something that's 10 episodes.
10 to 15.
10 to 15. And that OTT platforms have opened the appetite and have shown us a benchmark that we in the region need to try to meet. And there's a shift, same as there used to be a shift, there was a shift before from free-to-air to satellite. We're now going satellite TV, now we're going from satellite to digital.
From terrestrial to satellite.
Sorry, from terrestrial to
in the 90s, back in the 90s.
Satellite,
yeah.
And then from satellite now to digital. So that's more or less what we...
Yes, I invited the local digital platforms
Yes.
to move fast.
Okay, and yes, because the broadcasters are taking their time, whereas digital platforms are making decisions really, really quickly.
Are very quickly in decision.
Yeah. Khulud, can you talk about...
Yeah, I think first on the Netflix and the OTT and the broadcasters, I think we should think of content as content, and these are mediums. So if we don't think that, you know, of a content that will translate and travel across 360, we're failing from the beginning. The investment is not the proper investment. So we, as producers, when we put the investment, we need to be thinking of, you know, how it will go on broadcast or linear TV, how it will be broadcast or a different divergent from the actual investment, because you're already shooting. So we have seen you know, various successful, because now we are also second screen technology. This is what is going to be drive. So we don't need to be thinking we need to produce something for linear and something for non-linear. We need, when we start the investment, when we start the planning, we need to be thinking that for it to be a successful piece of content, it need to have that 360 travel. Second, let's look at, we keep saying Amazon and Netflix, and all respect, and I love them for whatever they have done to the market, because they came and created that competition. But let's look what have been developed so far. Let's remember that the real you know, success factor for the success of any drama is the female audience. So if you are really not, you know, more than 50%, more than 60% viewership, what makes a show or Heba a successful you know, piece of content is the fact that it attracted that audience that actually make or break dramas, and I really believe that is the female audience. And that if you look at the HBO's content, like being female skewed, thinking of the fact that you have a massive audience sitting at home, and that these are the audience that will make it. If you look, yes, we want to be different, but we don't want to be different and weird for the sake of it. You know, let's think of who is consuming it, and where are the markets that will make or break the success of a content. So I think female audience need to be really considered. As far as new content and the formats, also, you know, sometimes we just follow a trend. We're now talking about short form, everyone wants to produce short form. I think, you know, daytime by itself attract a certain advertising revenue. So, you know, long form content in daytime, you know, or off-peak is still a valuable content and is needed to make the schedule, like, you know, attracting different audience and different revenue streams. What we talk about is short forms, is when short form is required, which is like premium, prime time, weekly content. So I think we should just be thinking that the needs of a channel, and not just like think, okay, we're all going to do 15 episodes. I'm all for it. But also when we look at 15 episodes, let's look at the durations. If you look at the Turkish experience, even the Korean experience, or it's nearly a feature film. It's a feature length, 1 hour and a half. Yeah, each episode. That's what will make it, you know, I will sit and I will watch it and I will keep thinking until next week. So we really need to think also how we structure these short form. And not to forget that each time slot in a day attracts an advertising revenue. So daytime is important as prime time, and it's a different format required for each.
I think also OTT has gotten us into the habit of binging. So when you have a drama that's 10, 15 episodes long, you can binge on it for 2 or 3 days, but if you have something that's 120 episodes, so yeah. So I think it's also for writers. I think the people who write for long-term, for longer formats are not the same type of writer, because I think when you...
Yes, you're right.
It's a very different skill set.
100%.
Should
But
we
never
worry?
had,
Yeah.
sorry, we never had soaps. So I'm saying, as we require short-form content, we never had the expertise in writing, long-form content that supports daytime. So if we think about long run, how we're going to support the grid of a channel?
We did maybe 10 to 12 soap in Egypt and Lebanon.
Like the daily soaps that run for 30 years.
episodes.
Yes, but it's still 30, 60.
No, we're talking of 70 and above. The problem is, as Lina said, the type of writing, the less number of episodes, is to have a real 48 to 52 minutes episode. Plus, when you have the theme and the plot of the story condensed on 10 to 15 episodes, rather to stretch it on 30 or 60 episodes, this ipso facto will give a boost to the episode. It's not because our appetite to make now less than 30. No, it's appetite to, because we've seen what Netflix made in not in the States, in Germany, in everywhere. They made from and not known cast. And actually, what we are doing now, we have brought into the new type of series a good cast, but not famous cast, in order to spend the money on the production value and production sceneries, and not to pay too much only for the stars. And this equation has succeeded on Netflix platform, and we're trying to see where we can reach the middle point between our Arabic audience and how to fly with our series outside. This is why when I said to our digital local platforms, they have to move in order to secure some of our products as a first run first, so then we travel abroad. If we travel before abroad, then there will be a problem in distribution phases. So then we will produce directly to abroad, and this is the problem what I was mentioning.
One of the things that with a lot of the financing now mainly coming from Saudi Arabia, or at least Saudi Arabia wanting to commit into the entertainment industry, what are the creative restrictions you think that's going to impact the kind of topics that we're going to be tackling?
Yeah,
You're smiling.
If you're getting money out of Saudi, I'm sure it comes with baggage. I mean, it's natural. Yeah, that's all I can say. So again, I think that will change once your international platforms would start encouraging, a different way of producing and developing product. The problem with Saudi, as I believe, not just Saudi, but even money coming out of the UAE, or so, it just comes with baggage. It comes with conditions. It comes with restrictions. So again, you can't talk about everything. You literally can't. You want to talk about, I don't know, you want to talk about the emancipation of females, for example, now in Saudi. Can you actually do that with Saudi money? I doubt it. That would work on an international level for sure. People are curious to see how things are changing in Saudi. But you're going to have to show the bad to eventually proceed and come to the good, which is happening right now. But because of the cultural restrictions here or in South, you cannot show that. You're quite limited. So yeah, it's always going to come with baggage for sure.
But it's not only.
No, this is just one example.
It's not only in KSA actually.
No. It's also here and
have the same problem.
Everywhere.
Egypt and Lebanon.
No, exactly.
We have restrictions. Yeah, we have restrictions where it comes from for all the Arabic countries.
No, I know, I get it. But what I'm saying is that, for example, like if I want to talk about the war in Lebanon, okay, there are specific things that might be offensive to one party or another. What I'm saying is that
when you're talking politics or religion,
it's always an issue. But when it comes to an international platforms, they literally don't care about that.
Can I?
Yeah, I want to say, because in the article that you had, there are two pilots that you're working on, one that deals with women and one that deals with religion. So if you could talk about that and who you think you're going to be able to sell them to.
Yes. Again, I recommend that we go and look at the 2030 vision. And yes, we don't have like an open door, as there is no open door in Egypt or anywhere else. But if you go and we study it as producers of content, for example, a dialogue between religions, we never tackle that. You know, we're working on a drama that is shot in Medina al-Munawwara, in KSA, in Vatican, and in Egypt, and it talks about, religions and the fact that, the dialogue between religions. So this is a subject matter which is beautiful, which is, yes, we were never, we really need to dig into the editorial guidelines and the doors that now are opened from the 2030 vision. So if you go and dig in it, whether in the Gulf, in UAE, or in Saudi, you will find doors opened. Even like when we talk about now, we have a show, a comedy, a sitcom in a driving school, and we're talking about how a guy is trying to use his wife, and he was motivating her to open a driving school. And so there's lots of comedies that we're talking about the competition, not competition, but this whole dialogue between men and male and female in KSA. But you're doing it in a respectful way, you're doing it a funny way.
But would that travel, though?
No?
But would that travel? That's...
The thing is,
Not
yes,
really.
I can tell you, we are partnering with Italian television on the first drama. They are interested because we're shooting in the Vatican and we're shooting in Mecca. This is where we need to think. Our culture is very rich, and that's the thing, is we need to act in confidence and think, look at our culture and the facts, even political facts, that are attractive for external. So for example, when we went and developed that content, the Italian TV came as like, oh wow, we want to be partners and we want to air, a dubbed version of it, because it's an Italian Arabic Saudi.
It might be exotic for them, but the restrictions always doesn't open the appetite for the international platforms. Actually, we have an example you just mentioned at Al-Haiba, this series, because the plot and it was we were making something that could not be done. It could be done in Lebanon, but could not be done anywhere else. So this series and this now we're on the season 3. I think is a lesson for us how to try to make higher the quality. But when you're talking about social dramas in any country, it's hard to have it travel. Especially when you're talking on the comedy side, because we have different comedy reflections in each country, even in the Arab world. So I think it's more into what could fly or what could be sold outside the area. Could be horror, could be maybe suspense, love, and this is what we experienced in our series last 5 years.
But because we're getting into that experience, when we start thinking of a concept for a drama, if we just try and talk to partners, international partners, so who told us if we approach Korean, for example, Korean partners, Korean investors, and we suggest an idea and we develop an idea, it can actually travel in both. And we have an experience here with one of the Korean companies. If we come and talk with Indian movies, animation movies, and we come with a movie that is like Bilal, regardless what you think of the movie Bilal, but movie Bilal is a movie that traveled because we started, or they started, Barashoon Entertainment.
No, it did not. Like for example, Bilal was a film that, and that's a problem that a lot of productions here locally face. You know, they think that, I believe the budget of Bilal was what, $20 million, right? It was massive. So, you know, they thought that by doing a film like this, that could actually travel. It played here, I think 3 years ago, and just last year it got sold to a company called Vertical Entertainment, which is a straight-to-VOD company, mainly. Like, they'll do like small theatrical, and that's it. We tried helping Barajoun, you know, to sort of try to bring it to the international market through, you know, the film markets. The response was kind of unanimous. It was too dark, it was too local. The audience, they might find an audience over here, and it was released theatrically and did quite well over here. But then again, that same audience, like, you cannot target this for families, you cannot target this for kids. They thought it was way too dark.
It's an adult, but
no, exactly. But over here, because they know the story, therefore it applies for families. But outside, they didn't. And the first thing was, for someone like Barajoun, having spent all that money, you know, they should have probably consulted with somebody outside to make them understand how it could play internationally.
But let's motivate the fact that this movie actually went into 16 countries. It talks about a concept which is Middle East, so it's not the language. A language doesn't make a movie relevant. Now, I understand totally, it's like investment vis-a-vis ROI, and I'm not talking about that. But the thing is, let's think big. Let's come up with an idea, me and you, of a movie and go and approach Disney, approach Universal, who told you? And we have also investors who are looking into investing into the market. So the thing is, we're always, let's just be positive and try.
No, of course, no.
Because I think we will find very minimum, and it is very difficult, but we will find success.
We are positive. بس التنظير شيء والتطبيق شيء حقيقة الأمر. يعني فينا ننظر نقول بشكل انه نحكي افقيا بالتنظير بس لما نجي للتطبيق الموضوع مش هيك. الفيلم اللي قلتي عنه اذا بدك بتعملي كومباريزن مع ميدل كلاس امريكان انيميشن موفيز نحن بعدنا لانه ما في هالاكسبرتيز. انا برايي انه مش الهدف انه لازم يسافر الفيلم الانيميشن من عنا او الفيلم العربي من عنا لازم يسافر للامريكان اودينس فجأة. هو لازم يمرق بمراحل. بس نحن في عنا تجارب بالافلام اللي هي سافر. عنا مثلا هلا ذكر نادين لبكي سافرت 3 افلام وصلت على العالمية. عنا مثلا فيلم مولانا نحن وزعناه مؤخرا هذا راح على 84 مهرجان. يعني في عنا بعض الافلام بس بيبقى في شغله لما عم نحكي على موضوع الانفستمنت انه في ناس بدها تعمل انفستمنت مزبوط هذا بنسمعه كثير بس نيجي بالحقيقه هو مش دقيق كثير.
بس no one will knock the door on us. We need to approach. Okay, بلاش. فريج as an asset. It was Gulf. It was Emirati, pure Emirati, and it traveled. It's still running, I think, on Cartoon Network. So I think if we are local and we also try to approach, because I was part of it.
You're talking about one title out of
I mean, there is
thousands.
How do we start? We start by being confident and approach.
We are confident. This is why.
No, but it's about also finding.
I think we are not doing enough to approach international investors and partners.
No, but the thing is, like a lot of the times, you know, everyone has like big plans when in fact, you know, I believe. First of all, you have to make it a success story internally, and then if it travels, great.
Yeah.
You know, but this is how you build it. But most of these production companies, local production companies, they have the big plans. Let's go to Disney, let's go to this, and let's go to that. When in fact, you still have to develop your own industry. This has not been done so far. You know, it's, you know, yes, you're going to have like Sadek that does stuff, or Khulud that does stuff, but that's not enough. Like, you need a lot more. You need competition. You need, this is what's going to grow the market. And then slowly you're going to have cases like Caramel, or, you know, that would travel. You know, there are different cases. Wajda was a Saudi film where, you know, internationally it did massive business. You know, over 1.2 million admissions in France alone. It did like over, I think, $3 or $4 million in the US. Sony Classics released it. But that didn't play well locally. They just didn't care. You know, it's that. But again, like, you know, stories a la Caramel or you know, you're going to have those. But it's going to take time.
Right. I want to thank everybody.